Thursday, January 25th. I am Reserve Soldier number 637039. It's about a year and a half after the outbreak of the Al-Aqsa Intifada. I am guarding the base outside the Palestinian town of Ramallah. Our main task is to keep Yasser Arafat from sneaking out of Ramallah and to prevent bombs and terrorists from being smuggled to the checkpoint. A few hours into our shift, an ominous blue Mercedes pulls up to the checkpoint. A thick, bulletproof window rolls down, and inside are 4 Palestinian men. And in the passenger seat is Saeb Erekat, chief Palestinian negotiator and one of Yasser Arafat's closest confidants. Now, evidently, he's on his way from his hometown, Jericho, to a meeting with the Rais in Ramallah. We greet Erekat and radio into headquarters for permission to let him pass. Evidently, someone in headquarters has decided to have Mr. Erekat sweat with him. 10 minutes go by, and we still have no answer. Erekat is becoming impatient. I try to calm the situation with a polite attempt at conversation. He's having none.
I've had to wait at 3 separate checkpoints. How many different armies do you have, damn it?
After about 20 minutes, permission is finally granted. Heading out of the checkpoint, he calls out.
Thank you for humiliating me.
If you people can work this whole thing out, then neither of us will have to be here.
Oh, how can we possibly work this out when we're constantly being degraded like this?
That's how we end it. Taste in my mouth is not a good one. Now, later on that night, I'm back on duty when Erekat and his entourage arrive. I tell him apologetically that I'll once again have to call into headquarters, and he graciously acknowledges. And then he calls me back to the car.
Excuse me, soldier. I have an idea. I'm scheduled to arrive tomorrow morning at 9:30 for more meetings. But perhaps you could arrange permission now, so I won't have to wait again tomorrow.
I'll see what I can do. The official answer is curt. There is political pressure being put on Erekat. If he wants to pass through in the morning, his request will be granted, or considered granted. In the meantime, I can let him through.
Thank you. Is everything arranged for tomorrow?
I think so. Friday, February 7th. Today is my last day on duty in Ramallah. About 15 minutes into our shift, the by now familiar blue Mercedes of Saeb Erekat pulls up. My last shift. Figures. Recognizing me, he rolls down the window. He is smoking a thin cigarillo and seems to be in a pretty good mood. Looks like you've been pretty busy lately.
Yes, we're working very hard trying to solve this thing.
Okay. Any chance I might not have to be here next year?
There's been some progress since the Sharon meeting with Abu Mazen. I can guarantee you by this time next year you won't be here. There's no other way. We have to achieve peace. There's no other way.
After we chat a bit more, Erekat recognizes that my English is of the native variety and asks where I'm from. And I tell him a city in upstate New York and ask if he's been there. He says he hasn't, but he got his BA in San Francisco, so we spent a lot of time there. And we talk about our favorite spots in San Francisco and what we like and don't like about LA. And he tells me he's never liked Washington, D.C. Well, I asked him what he was doing there, completely forgetting about the Camp David summit with Abu Barak, Madeleine Albright, President Clinton. He gently reminds me, and I try to hide my embarrassment. So, he then tells me that he got his PhD in England, and I ask him in what? And it is his turn to hide his shame.
Conflict management.
I mentioned that he seems to be something of a cigar aficionado, and he asks if I want one. Only if it's Cuban. And that is when he reaches over and pulls out a big, fat, chocolate-colored Churchill cigar, the finest the island has to offer, and hands it to me. I thank him, and I tell him I'll try to expedite things, completely ignoring the Army regulation about not taking gifts from Palestinians. Coincidentally, or maybe not, permission is granted at that very moment. Pulling out, he has his driver stop. And he calls me over.
You take real good care of yourself. You hear?
You too. I have yet to smoke this cigar. But when I do, I'll think of him and of Ramallah.